Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. It is a Miami Dolphins game week yet again. They are off the bye. Everybody talking this week, oh, the bye came at the right time. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you could have a more productive bye week just based on your rivals, your opponents, your, people who the Dolphin fan hates on. I don't think if you could have a better week than what the Dolphins had this week. I mean, I remember talking about this in training camp. I think it was training camp. I did a few minutes just talking about how it's a bit odd to have a Dolphins team not have any drama in the preseason. That this was a year where there was just so much normal, and all about it was just year two of Mike McDaniel, the program going forward, everybody taking care of their business, and really the Dolphins didn't have that much adversity to deal with. Other than Jalen Ramsey went down. That certainly sucked because you were excited to see what he was going to do. And Jalen Waddle was a little bit banged up in the preseason. But for the most part, it was a pretty drama-free off-season / training camp. And while we were looking around, you had, the Bills, who seemed like they had a lot of frostiness going on with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. That had not been resolved. They sent Stephon Diggs home at one point. You knew Josh Allen was talking about being a different type of quarterback. The Jets, obviously, they had the whole Aaron Rodgers circus. They were on Hard Knocks. You weren't really sure they're going to be, and then their season kind of falls apart week one, and now all they have to cling on to is Aaron Rodgers and his alien Achilles going to make some kind of a comeback with 3 weeks left in the season. And then you have the New England Patriots, who, nobody ever really wants to write off. Even I was like, I think they're still going to win 6-7 games. Nobody ever writes them off. They have just been a colossal failure. It's crazy to see. And meanwhile, you hear they have the Miami Dolphins sitting here coming off this bye week at 6-3, taking on a 500 Las Vegas Raiders team, and everything is right there in front of them, and I don't want this to make it seem like I'm overlooking anybody because, I don't want to appear like I'm doing that, but I'm not a coach and I'm not a player. I am a gas bag, and I don't really care about looking ahead because that's what we do. We are allowed to look ahead. We are not in those locker rooms. It will have no impact on whether or not they beat the Raiders. I'm talking about a what-if scenario. And really what I've seen is this characteristic, right? We have talked ad nauseum on the other side of things about how this Miami Dolphins team cannot beat a good team. That has been the big critique. They cannot beat a good team. They lost to the Eagles and they lost to the Chiefs. I don't really put the Bills in that category anymore. But at the time, the Bills, of course, were looked upon as a good team. So the thing they have been good at has been two things. One, they are excellent at home and have been. I think Tua is 19-4 in his career at home. I think that was the number I last saw. Maybe it's 18-4. I think it's 19-4. You guys can check it in the comments. Tell me how wrong I am. Whatever. Mike McDaniel, I think, has only lost twice at home in his career as Dolphins head coach. And the Miami Dolphins coming up this week against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are riding high right now. They have a couple of wins after getting rid of that flea, Josh McDaniels, who nobody seems to like. They got a little pep in the step with Antonio Pierce. Reminds you a la Man Campbell with the Miami Dolphins doing Oklahoma drills, taking out the Texans and Titans, and then it all kind of fell apart after that. Now the Miami Dolphins have to be the hammer that makes this all fall apart against this Oakland Raiders, or this Las Vegas Raiders team, excuse me. And Vegas very heavily favors the Dolphins. It's up to 12.5 by this morning. I saw it at 12 this morning. I think it opened at 10. So people are really hammering on the Dolphins, putting it on Las Vegas, west to east. Technically, and people like to do this now, Sunday Night Football, technically a short week. Dolphins are coming off of a bye, and they do handle teams that are not looked upon as, if they're not a good team, the Dolphins seem to throttle them. That has been what they've been able to do. The Dolphins are a good team. And I think that it's going to show I do think from this standpoint, it's going to show what level of maturity is this team at when it comes to contending. Because yes, while the showdowns have been disappointing against the elite teams, they have been not at home. They've been in prime. One was in prime time. One was in another time zone, another part of the world. I shouldn't even say time zone. It was on another continent, and you had your chances. You had your chances in those games. With this week, it's going to be interesting because the Miami Dolphins have to go back to being the heavily favored team, and there's going to be a lot of things that come with that, with the expectation of being a good team that goes out there. We're seeing this now in the league. There's a lot of weird losses every single week, or a lot of the contenders that the Dolphins are around, they all fell this week during the bye week. Jaguars, Cincinnati, Baltimore, it's not just the AFC East. So now it's upon the Dolphins to continue doing what they've been really good at doing this year, which is, if Vegas says the Miami Dolphins are going to kick a team's ass and they're looked upon as a heavy favorite, especially in their building, then they got to go out there and do it. And I do think that this is going to be an interesting case of handling their success, because if they look around the division, and I know they don't want to because Mike McDaniel's always going to talk about their standard, but it's hard not to look as fans and commentators and not look and say, damn, the Bills look a mess. The Jets are the Jets. The Patriots are talking about firing their legendary head coach and tanking and all that stuff. It's all there for them. It is all there for the Miami Dolphins in a season where, if you're going by Vegas, just on the outs, if you're just looking at it from right now, Dolphins will probably be only underdogs in one game the rest of the year, and that's at Baltimore. But the rest of the way, these are all games that the odds makers are going to tell you they should win. And whatever you want to make of these final 8 games, especially the next 5 weeks is a golden opportunity for Miami. It is. Between, the Raiders beating the Jets while they're down, Washington, Tennessee on a Monday night, like with a rookie QB, it is all there for Miami to set this thing up for put your record at a great place going into the holiday run, where you do have the competition beefing up a little bit. But I mean, dude, and to boot, you got Hard Knocks around now. I mean, how goosies was that trailer? Oh, wild thing, man. But on an injury front going into this week against the Las Vegas Raiders, who, listen, that's a talented team. They got one of the best receivers in the league, Max Crosby, absolute menace. They do feel like they're riding high right now. Old handsome Jimmy Garoppolo, he's getting the he got the heave-ho. They got rid of Josh McDaniels. Antonio Pierce seems like he's got them rallying together. So, this is going to be interesting. You are taking on a team that I think the Dolphin fan rightly believes they have more talent than, but it's been very, very confident. It is a very, very confident club. And Mike McDaniel was talking about this week about how it galvanizes everybody in those situations and brings them together. And you're going over the biggest adversity, and this guy loves the whole adversity as an opportunity. And it's a funny thing. It's like he loves adversity so much. He's like, that's the biggest adversity is a staff change, and especially a head staff change, right? So it's like Mike McDaniel loves adversity so much. Like he's like, I think he's almost jealous. He's like, if he could fire himself and make the most adversity for the Dolphins so they could use that as an opportunity, he would, if it didn't mean that he couldn't be the coach anymore. That's how much he loves his team facing adversity and answering the bell of adversity. But this is certainly going to be a fun matchup. I was very excited to hear that Jalen Waddle appears to feel a lot better, that he said that he feels fresh, that the body's right. Getting Devon Achane back. Talking about this before the bye, like I wanted the Dolphins to be overcautious. It sounds like they were. Like there was a point where the Dolphins could have used he could have used a brace. That could have been an option, and they decided no. Like they're going to allow him to be fully back. And the dude, before he got hurt, looked like the most electric running back in the league. And it's going to be really exciting to see him back on the football field. And you already know, with the old KH on the call, could be some very, very exciting things down the pipe for this Miami Dolphins team in this upcoming matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders.